Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's session from institutional implementation to real world impact collaborative approaches to measuring the success of transformative agreements. My name is Rachel Beatty, and I'll be moderating today's session. Presenting in today's session, we have Amy Lewontin, Collection Development Librarian at Northeastern University, Evan Simpson, Associate Dean for Experiential Learning and Academic Engagement, Library Administration at Northeastern University, and Sarah Whalen, Director of Open Research Americas at Wiley. If you have any questions during the presentation, please save them for the end where speakers will answer these questions during the Q&A at the end. This session will be recorded and made available to you for the next year. With that, I will hand it over to Evan to get us started.
Thank you, Rachel. Our agenda today covers many different points related to Northeastern's venture into open access and transformative agreements, and also, of course, our friends at Wiley. In terms of Northeastern, we'll talk a little bit about the context and landscape for our venture into open access publishing, and really talk about the Northeastern University Research Enterprise. We'll talk about some key guiding questions for the library that we've developed during this era, and talk about our open access initiative, the strategic positioning of the library as an open access catalyzer and a key partner in that research ecosystem. We'll talk about the improved profile for the library and some of the new partnerships that we've been able to forge as the result of this work with funders, influencers, researchers, and of course, publishers. We'll talk a little bit about demonstrating impact, data that we have and use frequently, and data that we need to work with partners to get. And we'll talk about some of our new initiatives that have come as the result of some of this work. Our friends at Wiley will talk a little bit about the numbers, how open access is transforming research communication, a new transformative agreement impact tool, and opportunities for advocacy in open research. So the Northeastern Research Enterprise, Northeastern has come a long way from its foundation as what was known as a commuter school, a place that really focused on undergraduate education with a small number of graduate programs. Today, Northeastern is number 3 in the state of Massachusetts for National Science Foundation Awards, representing and reflecting the tremendous growth in research and research dollars flowing through the university. Of course, corresponding with this, there's been exponential growth in STEM publishing and lots of investment to strengthen Boston-based labs, centers, and institutes. In addition to Boston campus, there are intensive research institutes in Burlington, Massachusetts, Nahant, Massachusetts, and soon Dublin, Ireland. And so there's been really a tremendous amount of growth in general in terms of research at Northeastern, but growth across Northeastern's network, and a lot of international collaborations on the rise as we watch the research productivity evolve. Some of the guiding questions for the library in this landscape, how can we really increase support for research and align ourselves with the trajectory of the institution? And more specifically, beyond discovery and access to information, where can a library truly impact inputs and or outputs in the research lifecycle? These have been some of our key guiding questions as we've looked at that research ecosystem and tried to understand how we can fit in. So opportunity, positioning, and launch. In this ecosystem, we recognize an opportunity, right? As emerging funder mandates are rolling out, we see an opportunity for library leadership, right? In 4 areas: to expand access or ease access to open access publishing. And really, this is about saving authors time and money. To expand and diversify the reach of Northeastern University research output, increase and demonstrate impact. We want to strengthen individual institutional brand, help Northeastern attract top talent, and generate more research funding. And finally, explore and develop funding models to sustain growth over time. This was the opportunity that we recognized as Northeastern's research ecosystem was really expanding. In terms of positioning the library and an initiative therein, we developed an advocacy roadmap around open access and a launch plan that establishes the library as a catalyzer of open access publishing through existing relationships with publishers. That sets the expectation, the clear expectation, that the library will advocate for additional funding beyond what can be leveraged via read and publish agreements with publishers. It also positions the library as a co-lead in the design of long-term enterprise funding solutions for open access publishing. So these were some of the tenets that we developed and how we positioned our organization and our initiative as we started to launch our venture into open access publishing and read and publish in transformative agreements. I will have to say outreach, relationship building, access to and effective use of data are all keys to success. One of those measures of success is the improved profile of the library and the new partnerships that have emerged as a result of this work. So due to the strategic positioning of our open access initiative and early continued success of the Wiley Transformative Agreement and ongoing advocacy, the profile and standing of the library has improved with some key stakeholders. With our key funders, the library is viewed and treated now as a thought leader and strategic partner, fueling scholarship. This is looked at by the provost, by leadership and research administration, and other key internal funders. The library has been given a lead role educating the community about open access and, key to this, exploring and developing long-term funding solutions. With key influencers on our campus, there are new shared goals and collaborations with research administration units, such as grants administration and proposal development. There's increasing interest in education and programming around open access and publishing broadly, and an opportunity to inject conversations, planning, and programming with more information about related and adjacent services, such as research data management. Important to note how working with researchers has really changed the way in which we have has really changed the way the profile of the library on campus and allowed us to develop some amazing new relationships. All authors receive a congratulatory message with a request for comments on their experience or on open access publishing broadly. All of our responses are kept for use in advocacy, helping us articulate the meaning and value of open access publishing. And this workflow/outreach and the relationships it's helped create have really paved the way to deeper relationships at the program and department level with faculty and administrators, whether through more contact with individuals via referral or the opportunity to develop and deliver programming for groups of faculty or researchers in the same departments, programs, labs, etc. And I'll hand it over to Amy Lewontin to say a few things about our high-touch outreach and acknowledgement workflow.
Oh, okay. This is a example of an email sent out to each researcher who's received an APC, and it's a simple message that asks them a couple questions. It's a congratulatory message saying, here's their journal, and this is part of the Wiley T agreement. But I ask them when they have time. I realize that researchers are incredibly busy, but I ask them two questions. Why do they feel publishing open access might be important for them? And also, because we're working with Wiley, but we're interested in other feedback, what other publishers or what other journals would be of interest to them? And I have to say that just doing one of these takes very little time, but the feedback is tremendous, which I share generally with Evan and our library dean, because I think it's helped us learn a lot about our researchers and why it's important to them. And if I can take a minute or so just to read a couple of the comments that we've gotten. I got one yesterday from a faculty member who offered up this statement. He says, I think it's so valuable that Northeastern supports open access. It makes it easier to disseminate and share publications he'd written about Asian studies, share publications quickly and to colleagues in Japan, where it's much less common to have university subscriptions to English language journals. I have another one where somebody's making reference to the fact that their open access publication my work is often centered on federal policymaking. Sometimes NGOs or nonprofits take notice, sometimes Congress, etc. But I like this comment. There's no guarantee that a nonprofit or a congressional staffer has an active Wiley subscription, but these are people I want to reach my work nevertheless. So by doing a simple thing like this and sending it to each researcher's, I can only say we've learned a tremendous amount. Also at the bottom of this, there are suggestions for other journals that they can find, because we offer a search engine of all the different publishers and all the different journals that are active for us. That's all I want to say about this comment, but it's powerful in terms of the feedback we've received.
Thank you, Amy. So we work with a lot of data. We are asked for a lot of data, and it's a key part of our ongoing education and our advocacy, again, with funders and with influencers, and of course, with researchers as well. There is data that we are frequently asked for in this landscape, and that's really the who, what, where, and when. Who is publishing open access, broken down by college, department, or program? What is being published by open access, broken down by publication type, article, review? Where and when are they publishing, broken down by publisher, journal, subject area, etc. And then, of course, following the money. This has been a key part of our advocacy. How much money are we saving Northeastern authors through the Wiley TA and others, departments, programs, colleges? How does that roll up to a total? What is the percentage of open access publishing output covered by agreements in place? And what will it take to cover the rest? Those are all important data points that we are frequently asked for, again, and often using in our education and ongoing advocacy around open access. And I'll hand it over to Amy for a deeper dive into some of the data that we use here.
Okay, this is specific to our Wiley agreement, which we've had for 2 years now, or almost 2 years. In the sense that when a researcher submits their article for Gold OA, we have planned ahead, and so those 9 are ones that we've prepaid for, but we've had so little hesitancy. So I just simply have the numbers here of the ones we've approved, and basically the ones I've reached out to. But the amount of savings is something that we've shared. Evan and I and our library dean have shared with the provost office, because we really wanted to point out the amount of savings, and what many of our authors, they have told us repeatedly that they don't have room in their grants for publication money. So the amount we've been able to help them with is for the 2 years is kind of phenomenal to me. Then we have a slide here that explains basically who on campus has received these APCs. And the thing is, as Evan was saying earlier, Northeastern is now many campuses. And so I've tried to outline who has received these. And our College of Science is probably the leader, and our College of Engineering is second. But we have a campus in London, and we have a campus out in Oakland, Mills College, and we have a campus in called the Rue Institute in Maine, our School of Law. So the thing is, with our Wiley TA and the broad base of journals, there's just tremendous interest across our colleges. And this one, which is probably a little hard to see, it represents the various departments. And again, the engineers are leaders here. And I just really was trying to show the variety of departments, people who have asked us to come and speak, psychology, the people in pharmacy, but it's the outreach and success of the TA really has to do with reaching out to so many departments. And I think because of the broad base of Wiley journals and the fact that there's the gold and the hybrid, there's just been tremendous interest here. And if you can see the slide, you can just see how many different departments at Northeastern have taken advantage of it in the year and a half or year and 3/4 we've had it. And this one, in the way that we have set up our agreement, the thing is, we have really done a first come, first serve. So we have not done any kind of outreach except across the campus to say this is available to them. But if you can see, full-time professors have certainly taken advantage, but we have all kinds of people. So people on the tenure track and PhD students and postdocs, it is open to everybody. And it has really made a lot of people, who, no matter what their position, quite happy. When people write and ask, am I eligible to use this? We answer yes, and you can see from the slide that it really has affected a wide group of scholarly researchers. Thank you.
So a great dive into some of the data that probably many libraries are using routinely in their education and advocacy. But one of the things we're trying to do is draw the distinction between data we have readily available and are working with frequently, and some emerging data needs where we're not quite sure always where to get it and how to get it. And really, those data needs, those emerging data needs, have to do with the why, the how, and the impact of open access publishing. And so, in terms of why open access, what is really driving open access publishing? Which open access publications are tied to a grant or mandate from a funder? Which aren't? And what is the motivation or incentive to publish open access in those cases? This is where our feedback from faculty is so valuable on both of these fronts. How open access? So how is open access publishing being funded outside of the library's agreements? And there's been a real struggle at the institutional level to capture enterprise data, right, that really complete the funding picture. And what we found is that departments, programs, colleges, et cetera, have various mechanisms out there ready, right, to fund publishing in different ways, but it is uneven across those colleges, departments, and programs. And so it's been a challenge, again, to try and really figure out where is the funding for open access beyond the agreements the library's been able to strike. In terms of measuring reach or impact, comparing the reach or impact of open access publishing to other publishing streams, right? Publisher provided data here is really key to our advocacy to demonstrate reach and other use indicators. Really important for our institution as a global university system to show international reach and diversification of reach and readership over time, and the collaborations, right, that are key to fueling that research. Looking at UN Sustainable Development Goals are now an emerging part of the conversation at Northeastern and at many other R1s and research institutions, where we're trying to figure out how research productivity maps to larger societal goals or trends in our world. So these are some of the emerging data needs that we have. And again, frequently, this requires working very closely with our partners at Wiley and at other publishers. Important to talk about some of the work to come and some of the new initiatives that our work with open access and specifically the Wiley TA have kind of allowed us to venture into. And so developing an institutional enterprise funding model, again, mentioned a couple times before, exploring institutional funding models for open access to ensure funding beyond TA, Transformative Agreement caps in place. Getting a complete picture of funding sources for open access beyond the library's agreements. Again, establishing a provost level working group to gather that data, compare models, and actually develop a sustainable model that can help us make sure open access publishing stays alive and well into the future. Education, outreach, and partnerships, all areas where we continue to find new pathways for advocacy in education. We have really strengthened our relationship with research administration and helped them become spokespersons for open access publishing. We really want to reach more graduate students, non-faculty researchers, and other potential authors who have equal access to open access agreements that we've struck. And then finally, of course, demonstrating impact through deeper analytics. I mentioned some of the emerging data needs, but we really need to get down to doing the work, right, of investing in analytics platforms to provide deeper metrics on reach and impact of open access publishing. There's a potential to develop a formal research impact and bibliometrics service here, leveraging new connections with funders, influencers, colleges, departments, programs, and researchers. So again, just a summary of sort of where doing a lot of work around open access and the success of the Wiley TA have kind of allowed us to have some new conversations with all kinds of partners and on a range of topics, from data to education to continued outreach and, of course, expanding funding.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Whalen. I'm the Director of Open Research Americas at Wiley. I work on open access policy development, trends in open research, and stakeholder engagement on topical OA issues that cover North America, Central America, and South America. I want to provide a quick review of Wiley's transformational agreements to date. We currently have 103 transformational agreements, and that number continues to grow. Our transformational agreements cover over 40 countries, over 80,000 articles, and over 2,800 institutions. Currently, 60% of our published OA articles are covered by a transformational agreement. The impact of having a transformational agreement with Wiley is clear. Under a Wiley transformational agreement, open access research articles have received 3.4 times more views, which you can see here in the upper left graphic. The orange bubble is hybrid views, the purple is gold, and the blue is subscription. The black is delayed OA, which becomes open after an embargo period. They've also resulted in 1.4 times more citations, which is shown again at this bottom left graphic, and 4 more times altmetrics attention compared to subscription articles within the same time frame. And that's this graphic on the left, on the right. Wiley has made significant investments in data analysis and tools. Our impact analysis team recently launched the Transformational Agreement Impact Tool. With this tool, we can pull up data and graphs showing a wide variety of metrics across different variables and customized timeframes for you. The reporting currently is available. You can ask your Wiley contact, whether it's your customer service, a customer success manager, or sales contact. And the reporting currently includes output, usage, citations, country and regional analysis, comparative analysis, subject area analysis, current trends, benchmarking, and the full data set summaries. These capabilities greatly improve our ability to work with our institutional TA partners to develop strategy, monitor progress, and visualize an institution's growth and profile within the publishing ecosystem. Our impact analysis team is focused on building out this tool to include new metrics and reporting, so I'm looking forward to the discussion after this presentation of new metrics and continuing this conversation as we build out our data capabilities for all of our transformational agreement customers. In terms of advocacy, I can't work in open research without mentioning the various additional opportunities to raise an institution's profile by participating in and endorsing initiatives for open research practices. Now, this list is just a short list of the initiatives that Wiley participates in and endorses. Some of these may be publisher specific, but many are not. There's a wide variety of initiatives and groups that can be joined and led that advance the progress of open research. And finally, in summary, Wiley's Transformational Agreement Impact Tool is currently up and running. Ask your Wiley contact for the specific reporting that you need. Let us know what reporting you'd like to see in the future and what specific metrics are needed in order to develop your strategy and planning. Please review the data reporting and have a conversation with us about strategic goals and your institution's profile in the publishing ecosystem, and additional opportunities to advocate for issues and initiatives that mean the most to your institution. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much to Evan, Amy, and Sarah for your presentations and time today. We will now go to the live Q&A portion of the event. Please put your questions in the chat or come off mute to ask your questions. Thanks.